Welcome to Tarot Q&A Tuesday. As you know, we're in for a special edition today because I'm at the Aura-Soma showroom in Auckland with Brenda.
Hi.
So Brenda and I have actually known each other for 28 years, believe it or not. We actually met initially studying a diploma in aromatherapy, and this is when I first heard about Aura-Soma. And at the first, I had no idea what it was about. I didn't really get it because it is actually quite a... How would you describe it? It's quite...
Well, it's a little bit different, isn't
esoteric? Would that be the right word? I mean, it's probably a little bit... It's more mainstream now. I'll get Brenda to explain to you before we begin what is Aura-Soma, because that would be a starting point for all of us to understand why I've brought Brenda along today, or come to see Brenda, I should say.
Yeah. So Aura-Soma is, the tagline is a self-selective soul therapy. So, well, what does even that mean? That means looking at these beautiful bottles, which I know may be a little bit hard to look at.
I can show you actually with the light off and on so that you can see the difference. They're much more amazing in real life. It was quite tricky to get the lighting, but they're the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing
That's all right.
bottles. Just don't smash them. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because, as you know, the tarot is a wonderful way to help us to understand our subconscious blocks and get to know ourselves at a deeper level so that we can clear the pathway to be our best self. Whilst we can also use it to foresee probable outcomes based on the current energy, it is really, really good for us to help us to personally evolve and grow on a conscious level by shedding light into the darkness, which is our subconscious. Now, Aura-Soma actually has a very similar philosophy. It's about using the subconscious choice of color to understand what is blocking the way to be your best self. I'll allow Brenda to explain how a session would work if you were to ever have a Aura-Soma session so that you know how this actually works and what you can expect in an Aura-Soma consultation.
Yeah, so in a consultation, someone would come and look at these beautiful bottles, and there's over 120 of them, so there's quite a few to choose from. And when you look at these bottles, you are invited to choose first your first one, but you end up choosing 4. And when you look at them, you're accessing your subconscious. So a little bit like the tarot, in that it's not your conscious mind choosing, it's your higher self, let's call it. And you look at the bottles, you choose the 4 bottle selection, and then the practitioner helps you to understand what each of those mean. So why would someone come to a consultation? Generally, when they're at a crossroads in their life, when they've got a point of inquiry, when there's something maybe not working the way that they want it to work.
Pretty much the same reason people come and see me for tarot.
Exactly.
And little do they know, they self-discover so much more. What I'd love to share, what I love about the bottles is that each bottle, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 that you select has a different meaning. So can you just share what the 4 meanings are with each bottle? So the first one represents...
Yeah, so that's your soul purpose. So it's what, if you believe that you had a consciousness before you were born, then what it is that you are going to come down onto earth and experience and bring to your life, to your family, to the planet. So that's can be like all your challenges, but then they become sort of like the gifts that you come through with.
Greatest challenge is your greatest gift. I always bang on about that. That's a big tarot lesson as well.
Yeah, so the second bottle is all about the gifts that you have born through those challenges. And when you look at the colours of the second bottle, you can see what has been the challenge for that person. And it's a two-way conversation. The practitioner's not telling you, but it evolves out of the conversation. And then the third bottle is the here and now bottle. So it's like, where are you on this journey?
What is going on?
Yeah, and where can you go to from here? And then the fourth bottle, always looked at in the positive, is the super consciousness telling you what you're bringing towards you in the future, should you continue on the path that you're on. So that's all really exciting and interesting and gives you a fantastic picture of what you're here for and where you're going. But the really key thing with the Aura-Soma equilibrium bottles is that you actually apply them physically to the body. So you shake the bottle, emulsify the oil and water fractions, and then apply those plant extracted colours and oils to the physical body to clear any blocks that are in your way, that then help you to be the first bottle that all the gifts that you came to experience and to give to the planet.
Pretty amazing, right? Like I just love it so much because it actually has been beneficial in my life. You would have seen me using the air conditioners sometimes to help me transform the energy of the room. And of course, if you transform the energy of the room, you naturally transform your own vibration as well. A lot like walking into a room that someone's just had a big fight, you know what's going down on some level, even if you don't know what's happened, because you feel that ick. And this is where the Aura-Soma air conditioners actually are not just about the room, they're about helping you to manage and keep your own aura clean as well. So what we're going to do today is start by reading the collective consciousness card, and then we will read each individual question, and at the end of the question, Brenda will suggest a colour that may be helpful for the person if the question is relevant. And that could be a little bit of an extra for anybody who happens to have sent in a question. And at the end, you are welcome to ask Brenda questions, because obviously there's so much to say about it. We couldn't really say it all in a quick 5 minutes. However, there is more to share that could benefit you. So I welcome you to research it or look it up, find out more about it.
Exactly.
And here we go. We are going to begin with what we all need to hear right now. Okay. We are just going to get into the zone because we just want to know, as an overall collective, it's very intense energy. A lot of people are very exhausted at this time. I've noticed particularly in Auckland, could be an Auckland thing. It's definitely a coming to the end of the year kind of vibe. So is this the card that we need to hear for our collective conscious? Interesting. Okay, so we're just going to bang on with one card here today. This card is the 8 of Cups. Now this usually indicates that it is time to take check on what is emotionally fulfilling, what is meaningful in your life, and ask yourself, is it enough? Because this guy in this image is actually walking away with the faith, with the inner knowledge, with the personal power that whilst there's some many boxes ticked in this particular scenario that you might be addressing in life right now, perhaps there's more. So he's walking away with confidence that there is. Now, it's not saying you have to walk away. We are going to just get another card to just double check that. What it's saying is to be aware of anything that you're settling for, because whilst we can have a lot of cups filled and be in our comfort zone, we want to always be able to grow, and that does sometimes mean going outside the comfort zone to trust that there is more. Because if your life is at a plateau for too long, there is more. There is more. And it's always an opportunity. And here we go, straight into the 8 of Pentacles, which is a guy who absolutely, or a girl, doesn't matter, but in this image it's a guy. He is working in his trade. He loves what he does. He's passionate. He's enjoying his days. Yet he is looking forward to working up this ladder and being even better and making even more money and having more fun doing it. So that is the step that you take when you launch into knowing that your heart and your passion is not at their optimum rates, not 100%. There is always more. There is always more. And this is the indicator to say, and when you do, find that thing that makes you happy in your days with the inspiration to grow, then you will enjoy your life so much more. Okie doke. So that's 2 8s. 8s are all about personal power, inner strength, and abundance, and very much really encouraging yourself to have the inner confidence or develop the core confidence to leverage out of the comfort zone. So what does that mean for you? I'd love some feedbacks in the comments of YouTube if you relate to this, or if you don't know how to step out of your comfort zone. If you're stuck, you know there's more, but you don't know which step to take. That's usually a common space and reason people stay in their comfort zone, because they get blocked at that first step. So now we're going to talk about Jessica, because Jessica was almost left off the list last time. Is it correct action to go and visit the man I'm interested in who doesn't live in the same city as me? Well, this is a nice easy one. We've just got a yes/no question. We're going to launch into that. And although before we do, I've just remembered we need to get a colour for what that collective consciousness card or cards represented.
Well, it's really interesting because the colour for Aura-Soma is orange, and that bottle is number 26, and the 6 and the 2 add up to the 8, and that's the way Aura-Soma does numerology comes to an 8. So we're looking at 3 8s, and as Fiona said, what the 8 was all about there. Just really interesting in that 8, and
it's an infinity symbol
sign,
as well.
So what goes out comes back.
So trust the process, because you will be met by the universe or the superconscious with that process. Would that be correct?
And if you're trusting in yourself.
Yeah.
I
like it a lot. Now, in answer to Jessica's question, should she go to a different city to visit this guy that she's potentially romantically interested in? We got the Hanged Man, which can often be looking a bit gloomy and scary because obviously he's hung himself, but he hasn't. He's actually looking at life from a different perspective. And I suggest you looking at the situation from a different perspective. And my actual answer of the yes/no is no. It's not a no, don't go. It's a, can he meet you somewhere? I feel that you shouldn't be going to him. I feel that you need to be met halfway. Otherwise, the give and take of this relationship scenario is already a little bit obscure with you over accommodating. That's a short one there. So this is an interesting one. This is about wanting to be eager and to be accommodating and not miss out. So this is also about trusting the process. Is there an instinct on what colour that could work for you?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because the first thing that I got was no, not yet.
Yeah,
to rush off.
Yeah.
And so when you're sort of making those sort of decisions, often it's like, what's missing in me that needs to be fulfilled? And I'm going to show you the products, but it's not exactly that you need to rush off and buy this product. But we have a product called Pink Pomander. Now, in the Pink Pomander range, whether it's in this sort of bottle or a room spray like you've seen Fiona use before, it's like love in a bottle. So you might have a rose quartz that you really love holding. You might have some rose oil that you love using. You might love the colour pink. You might hate the colour pink. But, pink, the colour pink or the vibration of pink would be really supportive to fill you up with self-love, so you're not actually going out grasping. And then the second colour that really came into my consciousness was gold. And gold's all about the gut feel, but it's all about not being quite so reactive. It's about sitting within your power and your inner knowing. And so my suggestion in this question would actually be to make sure you take care of your own needs, make sure you're not grasping, and then really just sit with that and allow it to unfold and allow him to sort of, as Fiona says, to meet you at least halfway, and initiate that if that's what if you want to be the initiator, initiate that. Like say he's in Wellington and you're in Auckland, initiate that you meet in Taupo. I don't know.
I totally agree, and that's the vibe that I completely get. We are going to run straight to Aaron's question, because Aaron quite often gets left till last too. Just would like to know, what would be the best city to move to, Townsville or Mackay, when I move back to Australia? Okay, well, let's tune into... Okay, so second approach reading Aaron. Best city to move to. Well, it's easier to test those two options. If you have any other options, then type them in the chat right now, because then we can actually be specific to that one. We're going to say, is Townsville a preference over Mackay? We want to ask that question first. And we'll bear with you. Is there any other suggestions, Aaron, or just that those two? Is it Townsville better than Mackay? No, isn't Mackay better than Townsville? That's right. Okay. Okay, Well, as we often get the same message every time we're doing these readings, I felt not as much to Townsville, more drawn to Mackay, but there was also a option to look at this from a different perspective. So would that mean, Brisbane or the Gold Coast, he says. Let's just tune into those. Brisbane, is it Brisbane? Is it Gold Coast? No. Bear with me. Okay, we're just quickly whizzing through these. Brisbane. Can we get a calling for Brisbane for Aaron? If he goes to Australia, is Brisbane a good place for him to make the best card to understand this? Is that feels very favourable. Very favourable, actually. Start of quite a beautiful journey, ones with more twists and turns. And if you know this card, you'll also know it's usually the start of a more spiritual journey. So it may deepen your own personal self-awareness and help you to, just look at life from that different perspective. Now let's just turn into Brisbane, give Brisbane a go as well. We'll just see what Brisbane has to offer there. And then Brenda will say whatever she has insight on, if anything, because this is a unique one. Travel, moving, shifting, changing, moving, new beginnings. Brisbane's a no from me. Was it the Gold Coast? Was it the Gold Coast? Was it the Gold Coast was yes? Oh my goodness.
Brisbane was yes.
Was Brisbane the first one?
You need to go through it.
No, I know the energy of what I was doing. Whatever the third one was it? Sorry guys, I don't need to know the names. I just need to know what angle I'm picking on. So we got that very strong yes to Brisbane and not so much the Gold Coast. I think was that the order? Either way, the fourth option feels a bit like illusions of how good it could be. Mackay, question mark, may need to look at things different. You see, this is a free will choice. It's not necessarily a destiny. So you do get to choose, and the experience that you have in that space will be of similar life lessons. What's meant for you won't go past you, but where you do it can be up to you. Your time. What are you going to say about this?
So straight away when you first asked the question, I got that green is really important. So green is about
got green as well, actually.
Having quite a
space.
It gives you space, but it gives you almost a helicopter view of what's to look at. So you've got a less cluttered view of things. We have a bottle called Hilarion, which really helps people to see things more. But even the green room spray, this is not it, but it's like this, is helpful just to really clear a whole lot of clutter, because probably you've got lots of questions. There'll be family members or friends that are saying, come here, or there's a lifestyle choice. So you think, I want to be by the mountain, or I want to be by the sea, or I want to be by the reef, and there'll be those sorts of things that are drawing you. So it's about getting a bigger perspective and sitting with that for a little while, and I'm sure that it's going to come really clear.
Yes, and while Brenda was doing that, I was just double checking in a different sense, and I still got Mackay, Brisbane as the stronger options for being your best work.
Yeah, when you first asked the two, Brisbane, Mackay was stronger than, was it Townsville?
Yeah. And Aaron says yes, family and friends in all four places.
Right.
So feel into it. So this green, I use the green quite a lot because I like to have my personal space. And if you're living or you're staying with people that you're feeling a bit claustrophobic, green is fantastic to give you your personal space within a crowded environment. This could be at a workspace as well, right? I've used that Aura-Soma air conditioner for that. Yes. It smells really yummy too. They all smell yummy, to be honest.
Tiny, yeah.
Okay, let's get back into the questions. This is the big one. We're going to get the big one out here from Jennifer. Okay. Here's my question for tarot. Actually, I'm just going to start that again. I was reading a different person's. Hi, Fiona. My question for tarot is that I am currently shifting a lot of old energy and trauma from my family, from my childhood. It's weighed me down for years. I never felt like I had a safe space, yet have always supported and kept in contact with my parents, even though they did not do their best by me. I'm feeling torn between maintaining these relationships that seem unhealthy for me or cutting loose. I have put boundaries in place recently for the first time. However, I want to know if boundaries are enough, or do I need to let go of these relationships and cut myself to release the trauma fully and heal myself? Okay, so a lot to unpack, and this is going to be so good for Brenda. I can see do you want to speak? No, I'll speak first because...
You do the tarot first.
Yeah. Okay, the first question, I almost don't need to read the tarot either, actually. However, I'm going to say, we're going to ask a simple question. Do you cut the ties fully, or is there work to do consciously in connection with them? So the question will be, do you cut the ties fully? Okay, Jennifer. Okay, right. I was like, I was almost trying to put my own interference in that one. So I knew it was a no, do not cut the ties fully. And I will show you this card because it does feel like this guy, he's actually been to battle. He's endured a lot. He feels wounded. You can see clearly he's got bandages and he's exhausted. Yet in this guy's story, he's just going to give it one last chance. He feels like maybe it'll all get better in the 11th hour. And the truth is, there is still one last thing to do. And I'm going to continue with, what is the healing process that you need to adopt for this to be actually transformative for you in your life, Jennifer? So, the process on this. Okay, so this card here is a guy who is standing his ground. He's staunch on his beliefs, but he's feeling very unstable. He's on unstable territory because of his beliefs. Now, in all fairness, you know, all of our parents generally, I can probably be gross and say this, everybody's parents have also got unhealed wounds and unhealed traumas, and they've come in to do their life with their own stuff. And in their generation, it was also less of a thing to be conscious of this non-physical experience that we have as humans. Can be called trauma, can be called any sort of subconscious disharmony that affects the way we feel about ourselves and the way we react to others. And therefore, even though we totally acknowledge that you deserve compassion and it was friggin' hard and you are broken, feeling broken, you're not actually broken, you're a human going through this experience. You are meant to be here and it's not easy, but the outcome, you will have just as great a high as equal to the low that you've experienced. And that is the polarity of life. So the more hardship we go through, the greater the evolvement can be. And if we just go through life really safe and really not doing much, we don't have that much excitement either. And this is true for all aspects of life. It's just different extremes of the same vibration. You know, passion and anger, love and fear, they're all the same thing in a different vibration of the same thing, a different level, a different volume. Now, so what this means is there are some beliefs around how you feel all this happened that need to be balanced for the sake of your healing. If you can get to a place of self-compassion and then shed that compassion to the parents, in this case, that you know they did no more and you choose to forgive them for the sake of your own healing, then you will feel better for it. And that's really the first step, is to decide that they might have done wrong in many of our eyes, but it's only you who's carrying the burden. And sometimes people are not at the same stage of awareness, and when we can accept that, we can understand, and we can be more compassionate, and we can move into a higher level of love and evolvement. Over to you.
Well, it's a really interesting question because I've actually had this question twice this week already.
Oh wow!
It's only
okay.
Tuesday. it's really tricky when you're a child and you're brought up with dysfunctional parents. And there's so many different levels of dysfunction, obviously. And sometimes it's the smaller levels of dysfunction that happen when we're the youngest that actually mess us up the most. So I never underestimate the little things that can cause dysfunction and can almost give us a PTSD kind of experience. The thing with, do you cut the ties or not? Sometimes we have to do it for a while. Sometimes we have to do it to give ourselves a break, to step back and create new boundaries. And you can come in and wallop them and say, I'm never going to talk to you again. Or you can just slowly build these new boundaries, not answer the phone the minute they ring you, not be as available as you have been, and slowly build up these new boundaries as you heal and as you care for yourself. Or if necessary, if it's really toxic, just, almost having a restraining order on them. Obviously there's different levels in that, and you can only say what's right for you at this time. My suggestion would be to very much sit down with yourself and start designing some boundaries around these people and how you can start.
Well, she did say that she did say that she had set some boundaries. I want to actually give you some understanding around what those boundaries might look like from our perspective. And before I do, I read this thing just like literally a day ago, and this may relate to a lot of people. It says, life. We have a childhood. We get messed up in our childhood by people who never healed from their own childhoods and are doing the best they can. Then our early history gets replayed in the dynamics of our adult lives until we wake up and break the cycle. And I'd like to add in there, usually in your relationships, the person that you're closest to, whether it's a friend or a partner or the parent itself. Then it goes on to say, psychology supports this theory, but it's not the whole story. And my other half of that story is the work I do, which is very love focused. And I'd like to share a personal story with you because I've had a similar experience and I had to do some deep healing with family stuff. And I did take some time away from them very politely. My boundaries weren't telling them what they can or cannot do. They were just my personal boundaries that I needed some space. And my intention, I had a very strong intention that I wanted to be around these particular people with so much happiness and love in my heart that nothing they did affected me. In fact, it was like water off a duck's back. They were like Teflon to me. So I went into my family trauma healing with the intention to become so loving and happy in my heart that anything that's coming at me would just pale in comparison, and they would witness the shift in me. I need not say anything to them. And it was powerful, it was challenging, it was surprising, it was painful, and then it was friggin' amazing. And now I have full circled that, and with these couple of individuals, probably the best connections that I have with any family members. So it's possible, but doing the work starts with healing your own heart with the intention to do so.
Exactly.
Do you have a colour?
Well, always pink is going to be a good one because it's about you nurturing and self-loving yourself and filling up your cup. So when if you have to be around these people, if you're full of self-nurturing and you feel happy within yourself, when you meet them, and as Fiona says, and anything negative comes up, it just kind of washes off you, and also just start seeing them for what they are. Like if they pick on you or say something horrible, it's their stuff. It's nothing to do with you.
Most of the time.
99% of the time.
Yeah, judgments. If people are really harsh judges, even if they're just having a funny chat with you about laughing at people in the street, it's because they have that equal level of judgment on themselves. If you can start seeing the light in everyone, you will start seeing the light in yourself, and vice versa. And the fastest way to actually start healing yourself is to really just make that choice to see that we don't know what happened to that person in their life, and send them compassion. Walking down the street, it's too easy to go at somebody. Instead, when you catch yourself having a moment of untoward thought or just a negative judgment to someone, stop yourself and go, actually, I'm going to send them some love. That's actually step one, to even just become aware that shift can shift your own energy. Big session today, eh, guys? What do you think? Aaron says he had a terrible upbringing and my siblings and I walked away and never felt better for it. And there is always that case too. You're not necessarily in your soul family within your human family. And it's okay to not have to have the best relationships with your family. I think we do feel this expectation or commitment or obligation to have close family relations. You don't have to. You don't have to. And giving yourself permission to just be okay, just as you might the person who works in the cafe up the road, that's fine. But just be aware, is it coming from a reactive, triggering place, or is it coming from they're cool, they're just not my people, just as you would the person at the cafe up the road. That's the difference. If you're triggering, deal with your stuff. If it just is, see them when you want to see them.
Yeah.
And so the first step is the no obligation, and stop putting expectations, don't be a people pleaser. And of course, the irony is, if you are a people pleaser, you've often come from a family where you had to be good or perfect to be accepted. And so it's very common that you might be still reaching out to try and connect with those people that never fully accepted you for your authenticity. And that's the ride. That's the human ride. It's not easy, but it is the human ride to overcome that, so you can expand your soul's experience and become more wise and more joyful through the trials and tribulations.
Exactly. I mean, the first thing obviously is you need to be safe physically and mentally and emotionally. And if that's not the case, then you need to cut all ties with these people. But if that's not really the problem, it is about creating new ways of being. And if you're the person that always picks up the phone on the second ring for mum who is having a drama, then stop picking up the phone.
Easier said than done. But can I just go back to the abuse? If any relationships, family or otherwise, are abusive, that's a definite get out.
Yeah.
Never start to try and learn your lessons while you've been...
No, that's not a lesson.
Yeah.
The lesson in that is to get out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Michelle, we're going to whiz into Michelle's card. She's been waiting patiently. She just wants a random card. A random card. Can we use this, guys? Michelle, second root is this card for Michelle. Okie doke. Well, I like this card. So this is a judgment card. Judgment this is a multifaceted card. So this is about letting go of past demons and also connecting into more spiritual guidance. It's also about forgiveness, and this is really it's actually an awakening card. It's really representing a time of transformation where you use your life experiences to upgrade into a more enlightened space. So we do this, funnily enough, through the things we're just talking about, through the forgiveness, through the letting go, through the releasing of the inner demons within us, the old life that we had, and actually choosing to wake up. And in this case, you can see there's an angel and these what look like zombies coming out of the grave. So it's kind of just digging up those gremlins in the darkness and releasing them back to source energy so that they can be completely transformed into the divine essence of love, because it's just energy. It's all energy that we can allow to rise and transform. So one way you can start doing that is, if you have an emotion rise within that doesn't feel so amazing, you can choose to love the emotion. You don't have to fully embrace it as far as holding on to it. It's just to recognize it, acknowledge it, and allow it to go. And if you keep that as a daily practice or a regular practice, then you start to sweep the little bits of debris away bit by bit, rather than having to go into some deep dive trauma healing or some past life regression. You can actually start cleaning up your mess just simply by being with your daily emotions.
Yeah, and as we said right at the beginning, things keep coming up the same. And for this, it was really about gold, and it's about going in and finding the gold within, and just sitting with yourself. And so the gold in the chakras is sort of in the belly, and yeah, just mining that gold. Like, where's the gold within you, and start mining that.
Oh, I like that. Dig up the gold.
There's lots in there that you will find if you take the time to sit, maybe in meditation or contemplation, depending on, if you meditate or not. Sitting with yourself, and as you said, Fiona, just like cleaning up the little things as they come up, as they percolate up, give them the acknowledgement, and then, sweep them away.
Let them go. Love what rises. Whatever rises, love that. And now we are going to go to another question. We'll just double check. Linda, if there's time, I also can I have a random card, Fiona? We will most likely do that, Linda. Okay, Tina, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? That's a big question. I'm 55 years old, and I feel like I've always been doing what everyone else wants or expects me to do. Funnily enough, this is actually not, and this is quite a common question. We feel that we should have our shite together by a particular age, and sometimes we don't recognize that we have achieved a lot just by existing, but other times we can actually be gliding through with no intentions. I'm big on banging on about those intentions, being clear on what you want. So we are going to just ask this big question. What am I supposed to be doing with my life, Tina? All right, let's get into that. Now, okay. So if you probably do a reading form, we can use these cards. Right, I'm just going to use this. And we are excited to hear this, because this is a big question. Like, if we can get some insight to this, I'll be pretty proud of myself, even, to be fair. Okay. Well, the first part of this equation, we're going to start with part one, is the Eight of Swords. Now, the Eight of Swords usually comes up quite a lot. It hasn't come up lately. It's all about feeling trapped in your life, but actually we're trapping ourselves. We're trapping ourselves through our thoughts. So as you know, in the tarot, the thoughts are represented by the swords, any ideas. And this woman, she feels bound, she feels blindfolded to what is on offer for her. So actually she's free to run. Her feet are loose and there's water in front of her. The water represents her intuition, the conscious flow of universe energy, love energy, conscious energy, source energy. Therefore, it's definitely about tapping out of the head into the heart. So the first thing is to start to feel more, and then we want to see what comes up within that feeling. Now, I know that you want a bit more answer than that, so we're going to help you just to get a little bit more insight into what this could mean. Do we get just another version of how to help Tina to get more clarity on what direction? Because she's feeling, this woman in that last card has a blindfold on, so she's actually got her own blinkers on. Whew. Rightio, we have the devil here. Now the devil is, there's no bad cards in the deck. The devil is all about, just without talking about Tina, the devil is about the ego, it's about materialism, it's about addictions, it's about being chained to something that we're not really chained to, but we feel that we are chained to it. So if you can see these people in this, they look like they are chained to something, but the chains are loose. These are self-inflicted ego chains. Now, chained can be anything to having commitments in life, like having, house or dependence, or even some sort of drug, obviously, is one of the common addictions. And, whoopsies, dropping the cards again. So how does this relate to Tina? I will get one more card, because the more cards, the clearer the picture. Just going to ask for that. Is the last card appropriate? Sometimes I like to check the cards, especially when we're doing Speedy Gonzalez readings like this. So we're going to wrap this up with it's a really, well, this is going to be interesting for you to unpack, Brenda. Rather you than me. This is quite a tricky one. All right. Yes. Okay. That makes me feel better. Because this is back to the beginning, the collective consciousness card, which is a guide or a person, as it is, that loves what they do and is just working their way up slowly. They don't have to get to the end result. They don't have to have this big, amazing, life-changing career or substantial move in their life. It's actually about finding something within the workspace, in this case, that actually they love to do. Like they just could spend hours doing it. And or even if it's in the existing business, what is it about the business? Because a lot of people go into business for kind of the wrong reasons. They might like the product they sell, but they don't necessarily love the business side of things. So how do you work it so that you can still be in the process? Now, some of you know I used to actually be an interior designer. Now that job is actually 5% design and 95% project management. I don't mind a bit of project management, but it's not really singing my heart. It's not creative enough. It's a lot of admin, blur, boring, hate paperwork. So really, what I needed to do is either have somebody else helping me with the boring side so I could put my energy into the part I love. So for Tina, I suggest maybe it's actually not being addicted to, in this case, perhaps the money so much, and branching out to offer a job opportunity to somebody who loves the side of your line of work that you don't love, so that you can put more energy and fun into the aspects that you do. Don't feel like you're stuck because you've got to do the work. This devil card feels to me like it's more attached to the 8 of Swords, which is I'm stuck because I've got these commitments. I'm stuck because this is how my business runs. I'm stuck because I've got these expensive and overheads. And these aren't true. You can change all of this. As they say, you can move, you can change. You're not a tree, you can move. I love that saying. You're not a tree, you can move. You don't have to stay stuck. Okay.
Exactly. We've got 2 legs
Whew,
for movement.
I'm building up a sweat.
Whew.
So, what advice do you have for Tina about what am I supposed to be doing with my life?
Well, I found the first 2 cards really interesting because the first one, she was blindfolded,
Yeah.
but she could actually just walk away.
Yeah.
The devil, as you said, they can just pick up those shackles and take them off. The necklace, heavy necklace that they're wearing, they can just walk away. So what's holding you back is actually an illusion. It's not actually the truth.
Yes.
So it's all in your head. And sometimes if you've been doing the same thing for a long time, and it's even, you're talking about a business, but it might be a mum with kids, you've been looking after those children for a long time, and it's become quite a grind perhaps, that you can't, will things ever change? And actually, if you take the blinkers off, you may actually seeing that the children that are no longer 2-year-olds are now 21, actually things have changed a lot and you've got a lot more freedom. So how can you bring that freedom and more life into your day? And
do you have any suggestions or colour that helps you take the blinkers off? Like what gives you clarity? Would that be white?
Yeah, well, white or even Serapis Bay. Serapis Bay is quite
letting go of the past.
Yeah. It's actually working with your karmic absolution. So not clearing karma in a hard way. It's actually seeing it and working through it through love and compassion.
The challenge into the gift,
Yeah,
same
exactly.
story, different explanation.
Yeah, exactly. And gold again kept coming back into, actually, for one of the words that kept coming up a lot was service. And it's not, service is not bondage. It's how do you serve in a light, loving way, and bring that fun back into it.
So I want to take that back to the 8 of Pentacles, because this person is actually in a trade, is often hands-on.
Yeah.
So I feel that in Tina's case, maybe that's why I related it to the interior design, that hands-on process feels like you can immerse yourself in
what you enjoy.
Yeah, don't get bogged down in doing the annual accounts and things like that.
Boring.
Do the exciting stuff and farm out the rest.
Linda has been waiting so patiently. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. We're whizzing along just so we can do as much as we can in a short space of time. As you know, Linda, did you just want a random card, Linda? That was you, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay. I've got the 10 of Wands, but I'm going to pull another one as well because I want to tell a bigger story. The 10 of Wands is feeling a lot of responsibility, stress, and weight on your shoulders. It's also the end of something, but I just don't feel it's quite the story for you. Whilst the message is to lift it off the shoulders, because it does feel in keeping with the common theme of tonight, which is to let go and allow the goodness that is already there to be part of your life. So in this case, it was with the family trauma, it was with the shackles, it was with the addiction, it was with the expectations from others and from ourselves. So there is a huge message in tonight's reading about being conscious, deciding intentionally to release some stuff that is not allowing you to feel. Yes, you want to be able to feel good. And the aim of the game is to feel good, and then you just naturally get doors open for you. People think we have to focus on our manifestations and do our affirmations. No, you have to focus on feeling good, and what's stopping you from feeling good is all you need to focus on or not focus on in the moment in order to step forward and receive what's already there. Everything is already there. And then we get the Lovers. The Lovers card is about the polarity I was talking about. It's actually, do you want to talk about the Lovers card? Do you know much about it? It's actually, I can continue, but it's all about duality, but it's very much a coming into your soul's purpose would be a simple way of putting it. There's so much to this card, but based on taking it from the 10 of Wands, Struggle Street. It's going from Struggle Street to the driver's seat of your life. Understanding the extremes of, as we said, love, fear, passion, anger. What's some other examples? Hot, cold, but some that are relevant. Yeah. Depression, happiness, sadness, joy. All of these things are okay to experience, and when we just recognize that we're humans and we're allowed to have those emotions but not get stuck in them, be conscious not to get stuck. So I think, I really feel next year, Linda, is going to be very for you. Yeah,
there's a poem and it's basically and she let go, and she just let go. And, we're always told, just let it go. Easier said than done. But, with that first card, it was like he's carrying all those sticks and he's under a full burden. And how can he just let go? He can actually just put those sticks down. So what can you just put down?
And the shoulders, start with the shoulders.
Yeah, and the out breath, breathe out.
Exhale first.
And then how can you actually just allow yourself to have a little bit more love in your life for yourself? And that's, self-love, self-caring. And it might be a little thing like a walk on the beach. It might be a nice cup of tea. It doesn't have to be a really big thing, but it's all these little gestures that you do for yourself that actually starts filling your cup up. And as that sort of just becomes more of who you are. And it's almost like, as we know, all these cards today are all interrelated. The people that are trying to let go of the family that are difficult. If we love ourselves more, if the person who wants to move house to Australia, where are you going to feel the best? Forget everybody else. What works for you? And this is how everything's connected tonight, I think. That care for yourself and put yourself first, and then
everything else seems to funnily come into place.
It does, because when you feel good, you're in alignment with your soul's purpose, and you more easily see the messages and the inspiration that the universe has put right in front of you to guide your way. And it is as simple as that, and that's how I roll. And it is, miracles happen all the time. And sometimes we have bad days, and then the next day you can have better days.
The sun comes up again.
But we talk about this in the cosmic consulting. Contrast, the opposite of what you want, helps you to get clear, specifically clear on what you do want. Now, I do have another question I do have to dive into for Rosie. She called me up yesterday while I was actually driving to Auckland, and it's a situation where her ex-boyfriend wanted to come back to her, or she connected in with her ex-boyfriend when she was in Tauranga, and got the feeling that he wanted to initiate getting back together. In the same breath, she said to me, he actually treats me like something on the ground, she said, and we know what that is. So I was kind of like, why do you even want to connect in with this person? So the first question we want to say is it safe to connect in back with this ex-partner? Because it just didn't have good energy around it when I spoke on the phone. But it feels like he will be offering the love. You are right. This woman, Rosie, she said, I just have this feeling. He asked for my contact details. I won't get detailed into what she said. And she felt he was going to step forward. We do think he is going to step forward as well. Is it correct action for you to step forward with it? Do you know what? It's funny because I'm actually getting a yes, but this is where the boundaries need to be set in place. You just don't be treated like that piece of stuff on the ground. In saying that, easier said than done, right? So where to begin with that? I just want to give you, this is a big story for another day, and we also always recommend if there's any abuse in any relationship, whether you feel love in the moment or not, just seek external help from another person to keep you actually safe. A bit of a big message for a casual tarot reading, but it is super important that we just don't lead people down the garden path. Yeah. What was the question? Oh no, I'm just feeling into the energy.
So she's asking,
should she actually accept it? Yeah, no is the answer. Yeah, so it's going to be very stressful and too much on your shoulders. So you can just say no if you can. That is I do believe you are correct with your assumptions. So follow your instinct that helped you to understand that, to help you to know you deserve more and to step aside and be willing to love yourself first and then receive a better dynamic where you are treated like flowers and rainbows, not stuff on the
reality
ground.
is people that treat you badly the first time around, they're not going to get any better. Something extraordinary has to happen. And
change is possible, but not for the average unless you're very conscious on the journey together with an excellent communication.
And you're not the one to change them. So, if they stepped up and gone to counselling and resolved some childhood issues, for example, then and they're really committed, and they show that prior to being back in a relationship with you, like they start doing things properly and treating you properly before you're in any sort of intimate relationship, let's say, then maybe, but the reality is you're normally actually better to put your energy into finding someone that's actually a well-formed human being. Really, that's done their stuff and acknowledged that they've got stuff to work on and grown up a bit.
Yes. Well, I really appreciate Brenda being here with these questions, and I know it's been a long session, guys. I appreciate your patience, and if you've got any questions, start putting them in the chat, because we do have 2 quickies that I'm going to whiz through. I've just answered Raymond's one to myself while Brenda was sharing her wisdom. Is the sale of my business going to be finalised within the 28 hours? What is blocking the flow? Nothing is blocking the flow. It's just a process. Yes, it will be. Josephine, is it done and dusted with my boyfriend and I? Okay. No. No. Some staunch thinking, some rushing into stuff, whether it's rushing out of it or into it. I don't know what you're doing, but what else do you need to hear right now? Fresh start, new beginnings, start at the beginning. Go back to the beginning, get grounded, get your ducks in a row. Step away from all the thinking, I think this and you should do that and this is what's not working. I got the Knight of Swords, and that was very much rushing in, too much thinking, too much analysis, too much control, too hasty a decision. So the answer is a little bit more patience. Okay, and then you can have your new beginning together. Or actually maybe not together, but it's not over till the fat lady sings.
Yeah, and the question was, is it over with my boyfriend? So you're not over it because you're still calling him your boyfriend.
Very
so
interesting.
There's the answer already there. So you're not over it.
Yeah.
You're still calling him your boyfriend. Is the relationship with this person or this man over? Well, it's Fiona pulled that, there's this opportunity for new beginnings, and sometimes
I got the exact same card.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just literally did that again with a different vibe. I got the exact same
the
card.
New beginnings, the one?
Is this relationship over? It was no. So, whilst... Yeah.
Sometimes you have to, we have that honeymoon period and it's all so intense and fabulous, and then we need to get a reality check, and that reality check brings us down to earth, and we slam into the earth so fast that we go, no, this can't be it. And so then we have to rebuild again. And sometimes we have to actually sit down and verbally say, okay, if we want this to work, what do we need to do? What do you need from this relationship? What do I need from this relationship? What's my personal temperament? What's your personal temperament? Is it likely to work? They might spend every dollar they ever get. You may save every dollar you ever get. And obviously that's already not a good match. So
logic and intuition.
Yeah, and unfortunately the fun and that, that honeymoon period can make us blind to all these things that are really super important. And so the Buddhist would actually sort of say the person you should be with is the person you'll relax with, the person that you just, you can go home and be in your old clothes and not be worried about what they're thinking about you and not have any anxiety. It's the easiest person to be with.
Accepting you for
who you are.
What's and all.
Exactly. So, it's probably for this relationship to be decided is it's about coming together and seeing how much in real life you have in common. And
what your dreams are. Yeah, both separately, and do they work together?
Yeah, exactly. And then when you sat down, grounded, and gone through that, then you might try it again, and it may work and it may not. But you'll know that you've given it a good shot. And
if anything else, it's actually practice. It sounds terrible, but it's practice of handling these situations in the best way possible, because if we have acted too swiftly or overreacted, then you don't want to carry on like that. So that gives us an opportunity to reset the communication or look at what's risen within us and love that. Maybe that's the trauma that's rising if you're overreacting, or if you're wanting to run, or if it's not going your way. And so therefore there is a spot to use Aura-Soma to help clear that gunk, or use the energetic transforming techniques that I teach and do with people. And that way we can just keep being better and better. No one is perfect, but we're always going to be growing if we choose to take that opportunity. It's been big, guys. We've been going for an hour. I don't know if that's good or not good for you, because obviously you're all busy at times. However, you have had a treat today, and I've had a treat with Brenda. If anyone's got any questions, you can actually post them also in the YouTube comments, because we'll get back to you. And if you'd like to know more about Aura-Soma, you can contact Brenda through
Aura-Soma.co.nz.
does it have a hyphen?
It does. So it's aura-soma.co.nz.
I want to show you these bottles to you one last time. They're so gorgeous. I wish they looked the same on the camera as they do in real life.
I need to put some in front.
So we will love you as always, and my heart is open to sharing this journey with you. And I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your feedback about having a guest on today, because it's the first time I've done it on Tarot Q&A Tuesday. And I look forward to seeing you next week at 5:55 for some more beautiful insight from the superconscious world and our subconscious mind. Lots of love, guys. See you.
Bye.